let me tell you about the story I heard from the president of the International Crane Foundation, Mr. Healy. When I met him in April 2011, he said 20 years ago there were only 200 cranes immigrating to Cheolwon, South Korea. But now the number has increased to more than 1,000. He asked me then if I knew the reason. I wanted to tell him that the environment for the birds to settle down has improved. But we both knew that was not the truth. We both wanted to know the truth. You're right. The truth is, it's because they had nothing to eat. This should be an adequate answer. Cranes are listed as internationally endangered species. To date, there are only about 2,800 cranes left. About 400 of them got through the winter in North Korea, near Anbyeon and Cheolwon area. In the 1990s, the North Korea famine caused huge food shortages across the country, which had serious effects on the crane. They had little to eat. All the grains and corns were eaten by ducks, goose, goats, and other cattle. In order to preserve and protect the cranes, Mr. Healy and the International Crane Foundation did everything they could do to prevent the cranes from extinction. They supported the farms and agriculture. They ran projects to feed the cranes. But it was no use. People and the cattle that were starving to death ate all the food. So, the cranes fled the country just like the refugees from North Korea to the south. We call it the exodus from north. From the 15 crane species worldwide, the crane and the white-necked crane, called the red-crowned crane, spend their winter in North Korea. In this sense, North Korea is a very, very important place, but the food shortage of the country is affecting the cranes as well. Until now, many of us know that the food shortage is the serious problem in North Korea. It's not all, in fact. After interviewing refugees from North Korea, we spotted some interesting points. In the beginning of the 90s, the weather pattern changes dramatically. The summer temperature rose nearly 3 to 4 degrees, causing great disturbances in farms, killing all the crops. The heat was unbearable, and farmers passed out during field work. Since then, each year recorded the most severe flooding and drought. More than 3,000 people are known to have died in the flood in year 1995 to 1996. And in 1997, the most severe drought ever known hits North Korea. North Koreans call this drought of king because drought happened twice each year from 1994 to 1998, killing all the rice planting. In this year, in a total of 400,000 hectares of agricultural land, more than 30% rice decreased year on year. This is how the so-called arduous march or 고난의 행군 began. After 2000, the situation worsened and there were more floods in North Korea. Farmers and houses were washed away when there were excessive rains. All the residents could do was to sit on their roof and watch their crops and cattle flow away. And then one day, there is a landslide which covered everything it touches into mud. The landslides in North Korea are a nightmare because there are barely any trees up in the mountain. All rain and mud come sliding down. The houses and farms are buried in mud, making the people homeless and leading them to death because of starvation. This is one of the main reasons of the increase of refugees. 2006, the death rate in North Korea due to climate catastrophe recorded the world highest 2.33 people per 100,000 people. The flood in 2007 caused 610 deaths, and that number has risen each year. According to the international organizations, accumulated costs caused by the damages of floods and storms over the past 30 years add up to $23 billion. The accumulated death toll over 1,700 people, and the accumulated number of victims is 11 million people. People who lost their lives due to food shortages after the drought are not even countable. The International Committee of the Red Cross sees the climate catastrophe at the disaster level. Professor of the University of Mongolia, who recently visited North Korea, has predicted droughts and floods will repeatedly come in North Korea. If so, what is the cause of North Korea's sudden climate catastrophe? Since the news about climate change issues in North Korea, I've been badly waiting for hearing from North Korean experts. Only a few years back, I had a chance to know what was actually happening in North. In June 2011, global NGO, the Pugwash, which was held in Berlin, Germany, and I was kindly invited. Pugwash, Nobel Prize winner for peace, is a gathering of nuclear experts from around the world and stands for denuclearization. This organization is not open to the public, and many may not know, but every year experts meet up and have open conversations on nuclear weapons. Of course, North Korea attends every meeting. That year, from the North Korean side, delegations have attended the meeting. Right beside them, the Syrian ambassador in Germany and director of the Mossad from Israel were having a conversation, and they were heavily discussing about the nuclear weapons in their country, why they had no choice but to possess nuclear weapons. Their atmosphere was quite different from their hostile attitude that we saw on TV. Although they knew that I was a South Korean, North Korean delegation invited me to eat dinner with them. We had a lot of conversation for a few days on that issue. The North Koreans had their reasons. They knew that I was a member of international organizations and an expert in forestry working on combating desertification. The question was straightforward. What can be done to save their forest in North Korea? I was surprised that nuclear experts were asking me questions about forests. As they told me, the deforestation in North Korea is an issue where attention should be paid. They were eager to get an answer, and before they got one, they wouldn't let me go. I told them about the carbon emission trading and inscribing the Baekdudaegan mountain system as a World Heritage Site. I told them that these key issues are the solutions and advised them to look into the matter. From their story, I could sense that the center of North Korean climate catastrophe was deforestation in the country. I was collecting information and data on forest through international organizations and had a chance to meet forest officials from North Korea in Mongolia in August 2011. And through them, I finally identified about the catastrophe of deforestation in North Korea.